If you are just joining us, this is still the morning show on Royal TV, channel 51 UHF. You can also watch us live by simply logging on to royalfm.live. You will see us streaming live there. You can also join this conversation through our Twitter handle at Royal FM 95.5 TV, or you can join us through our Facebook page, Royal TV 51. And if you have any question about this program, or you have any question concerning the topic of the day, you can email us at info@royalfmtv.com. We'll surely, answer your questions. Without wasting time, let's go straight into the topic of today. The topic is political games, effect on 2019 election. You see, we are going into the election era, and we need to begin to estray a lot of things, happenings. And you will agree with me that it is not easy keeping up with the happenings in Nigeria, because Nigeria of today has become a case of one day, one crisis. It was just 2 weeks ago, the dust created by the curious way the Boko Haram terrorists brought back their hostage right into the heart of Dapchi without releasing the Christian lady, Leah Saribu, who refused to renounce her Christian faith. Just 2 weeks ago. This was still in the air when we were faced with the allegation made by Lieutenant General Theophilus Danjuma, retired, a former Minister of Defense, accusing the military, of aiding the killer S-men. The controversy generated by his remark was still on when President Muhammadu Buhari last week Tuesday told his party, All Progressive Congress, that the tenure elongation of the National Executive Committee was unconstitutional. The same man that said they can stay more than the time they apportioned to them. The party officials shortly after that meeting, they said the decision of the NEC will still stand for now until there's another counter decision from the APC NEC. That was still on the air. The dust was still there in the air when Lagos State announced on Wednesday, still last week Wednesday, that some roads will be closed because of the visit of President Muhammadu Buhari to commission Ikeja bus terminal. Don't forget that this same thing happened during Jonathan, and Governor Fashola then, now Minister of Works and Power, and Lai Mohammed, who is the Minister of Information, they all criticized the government of the then President Jonathan for closing Lagos Road. That Lagos is a very busy place. Why should they, block some roads? But it happened last week, Thursday. It did not only stop there. Lagos had even declared Thursday as public holiday, even though Friday and Monday had already been declared public holiday to mark Good Friday and Easter Monday. We'll see where all these things are going. However, many Nigerians have said that the visit of the president last week to Lagos was clearly to attend a function organized by the leader of the APC, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who had been sidelined for the past 3 years of the president administration. But he's being recognized now, just of a sudden, because of the nearness of what? Election. Political games indeed. During that visit, the APC leader hyped on corruption, by their predecessor, the PDP. The PDP challenged them to mention names of corrupt people. A few days later, APC published names of some members of PDP as those that allegedly looted the nations without even adding the names of the former PDP members that are now members of APC. Making it seem as if APC has become an umbrella, a house now that, that is safe haven. Now, the PDP did not start there. They stopped there. The PDP went on to release the list of looters too, who are now APC members. There was also a crisis over the inauguration of Eko Atlantic City in Lagos by Buhari, which had been inaugurated in 2013 by the erstwhile president, Goodluck Jonathan. Photos of Jonathan and Fashola were flashed in the media, From that Lagos visit, also arose the controversy over the visit of the erstwhile top model, Naomi Campbell. I know some of you are aware of that. Naomi Campbell visited, and she posted, on her Twitter handle that it was the president of Nigeria that invited her. Many Nigerians assailed her over that visit. She deleted that Twitter quickly because they told her, why would the president, invite you? Although the presidency denied it invited Ms. Campbell, then the special assistant on digital new media, Mr. Tolu Ogunlesi, made a post in his Twitter handle calling Nigerians animals. Can you imagine that? The comment of Ogunlesi had not died down before Malam Garuba Shehu, presidential senior special assistant on media and publicity, over the weekend also told Nigerians complaining about hunger to go and work. He said, as far as he is concerned, Nigerians who are hungry or complaining of hard times are lazy bones. So if you complain now, why are things like this? You are now lazy bone. Okay, that's where it will get to. For many Nigerians, it has become apparent that the political elite had no value for the citizenry. Because if you can call a citizen of Nigeria an animal, and you call a citizen of Nigeria that complain, about how the government is doing something, a lazy bone, well, it's becoming so glaring that it don't have value on the masses. The masses are looked upon by these rulers with disdain. That's what it means. Well, this is because the ruler also know that anytime they need the support of the people, they can also employ religion, ethnicity as tools to divide the people and get the support they need. The truth is that this has always been working wonders. Sadly, the people are not aware that they are plaything in the hand of these political elites and their agents. Election is at the corner again. They will come to you, preach religion, preach ethnicity, just to get pity from you, and you will go and vote for them again. That's why we are discussing political games and the 2019 election, its effect on 2019 election, whether it will be as usual or something will change. Well, to discuss this topic with me on the program today is Mr. Godwin Ebele. Mr. Godwin Ebele, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Good morning, dears.
Yeah. It's laughable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this thing keeps happening. In Nigeria, anytime there is election is approaching, you see one thing, come up, this one, political parties try to clear up themselves. It started with PDP apologizing, PDP, APC saw that, okay, see, PDP want to clear themselves, they want to come back. They said, oh, we have name of looters, PDP challenged them, and the bombshell, boom. Now, the question I want to ask you, do you think Nigerians will still, fall for this kind of political gimmicks in this present dispensation?
Thank you very much. The script has already explained, it's like a booklet. Events that are rolling out every second, every minute, every hour, every day, and weekly. Anyway, in elections, we are in pre-election year. 2018 is pre-election year. Next year is election, 2019 election year. Then 2020 is post-election year. 2021 is mid-term report year. See, in all these years that I've said, pre-election, election, post-election, and mid-term report, they all have their activities. Okay. But here we are in a country where politicians and political parties don't address each year as it comes what to give to the electorate. Immediately, it's just like there is no transition of what to do. You remember during the Goodluck Jonathan's period, there was a transition for this government to take over. He introduced him into Aso Rock on all the places.
Maybe the reason why he has not set up that, maybe it's because nobody has come out to, apart from Atiku now, who has come out to declare for the presidency. Nobody has come out. Even in the APC and even in PDP, we don't have aspirant now for that ticket.
Yes, people of there's an election timetable. The INEC has come up with the election timetable. Already you know that the INEC has set a timetable, whereas the National Assembly has said that there has to be a reorder of the elections because they want the presidential election not to come first.
Yeah, they want it to come last.
They want to, and when you reason it, reasonably, the elections have to start from the base. We ought to start the elections from the State House of Assembly, the government, the governor's election, the National Assembly. Let the presidential election. You don't have to start with a presidential election because it will have a ripple effect on the other elections. Okay. So whatever it is that INEC has made that presidential election to come first is very suspicious. And again, the National Assembly also coming on board to reorder the timetable of election is also very suspicious because they have not talked to the masses. Okay. It is the masses that they vote. It is not the presidency, neither the National Assembly members that are in charge of vote for themselves. So it is the electorate that have the right to say, like, this election. And for those right-thinking people, we feel that the elections to start from the base to the peak. The presidential election should come last. So that by the time you finish with the State House of Assembly election, the governorship election, National Assembly election, we know strategically there's a direction of the elections. But here we are, if you start with the president, all the other elections will just be a sham.
You've highlighted some downside of the government.
Yes.
Fine. Now, the question I'm asking is that, now, the government, don't you think the government is trying to cover up their weaknesses? That's the present government.
Sure. They're quite...
now, if that is the case,
yes,
what do you advise Nigerians in the forthcoming election? Because we are not voting, we are not speaking against any party.
Yes.
We are talking about good governance.
Yes.
Yeah. What should Nigerians be looking out for, you know, among the aspirants that will be coming out? What do you think Nigerians should be looking out for?
Well, just like in the state here also, we see on the Facebook so many names, we have seen so many faces, you get me? Fundamentally, every adult of 18 and above, we owe ourselves a duty to go and register and have our PVC. Because this election is going to be like the election of MK Abiola and Tofa, where it looks like we are coming out of the military government for a democratic dispensation. Here we are in a government where all is pointing towards as if we are in a military dictatorship. So people will really want to have a change. And by trying to have the change, people must prepare by going to register and make sure that we want to. One of that area which I want to, if INEC could have come up with the option 8-4, you queue behind your candidate, that could have been very visible. But since it's an open secret, let every candidate prepare to go and register and have its own PBC for the next election. Because you find out that the government has failed to deliver the dividends of their promises. One, they promised so many things. NEPA, they promised NEPA. They promised the value of the naira to be equal to the dollar. They promised infrastructural development. They promised so many things. Out of the list of what they promised, they have not delivered. They have failed on all of them. They have not been able to attend to any of those campaign promises. Because you coming to campaign.
But they have excuses for all these things. It's not that maybe they don't want to just deliver. They are saying that they don't have the wherewithal, especially the area of funding, yes, to execute most of those projects, because the past administration milked, you know, the treasury. So it's not that maybe they don't want to deliver?
Ideally, they claim that they met an empty treasury.
Treasury, yeah.
But former President Obasanjo did make a statement that he inherited so much, so little from the previous government. He left so much for late Yaradua. And that he told this present government that former President Goodluck left so much for him. Why is he claiming that it met an empty treasury? Clearly, he was just deceiving the present government. Is just deceiving Nigeria that they met an empty treasury that was looted. Again, this is almost 3 years now. The budget, their budget, you can see the price of the oil is going up. The excess they are having, what are they doing with it? The money they have recovered from previous people that were in government, they have not been able to account for it. There's a war between EFCC and the Ministry of Finance on the actual amount. There's so much fund that both parties cannot account for. So you find out that the money that has come in from the looters, where is it? What is it being used for? They have not told Nigerians that this is the amount that were recovered from previous people in either senators, ministers, and those they feel that they're being accused of looting the treasury. They have recovered so much. It is very painful that the money recovered can even do so much in the economy for the citizens. And even the increase in the petrol in the oil price, the excess, what are they doing to it? Here's a government who say that they want to apportion $1 billion to fight to give to the Northeast Development Board. Yeah. But in the Senate, there was quite disharmony within themselves. Some states demanded 13% out of that money. You know, that was a story on itself. You see, clearly, they are just trying to hide their inefficiency and unprepared state for governance. Therefore, the electorate should synthesize themselves one-on-one to please go and register. It will definitely happen, because the electorate is becoming more aware of what is happening in the polity. So we should try to make sure that we synthesize, we educate ourselves to go and register.
In your own opinion,
yes,
do you think PVC will be the joker for the next election with the way, you know, the polity is being heated up here and there by the two main political parties, the APC and the PDP?
Yes.
You know, in trying to undo themselves, do you think PVC will work?
Well, going by the trend of elections in this country, elections have been, instead of being a game, it has been war. And that is why we have pre, during, and post-electoral violences. And most of the cases after the elections, instead of finishing within the time period of three months, don't finish till after a year, 2, 3, up to 5 years, thereabouts. Our democracy is evolving. Considering where we are coming from, because we spend so much time in military government, and civil and politicians have this mentality of the military in their blood, whether they are civilians. You see that the first democracy after all this period in military administration started with an ex-military general,
President
Obasanjo. Then after him again, after some time, after President Goodluck Jonathan, we had another military general again. But when you look at the body policy that is displayed by playing out, you find out that This one, Buhari's government seems to be more of a military dictatorship compared to Obasanjo's administration. So back to your question on PVC. For the fact that we're evolving and we are learning, I think PVC will play so much in the next forthcoming election. You can remember, not quite long ago, 2015, 2016 Bayelsa State election. What played out in Southern Niger, what played out in Ekirimo, and which place again? These are the main places that we had a rerun. I did, as an election observer, I witnessed what transpired at Elibri during the election proper and the rerun election at Elibri. We had information from what transpired at Ekirimo and the Southern Niger. So we have to learn how to do the right things, doing the correct things. Though our elections have been very fraudulent, have been violated, the laws have been violated in the process. If all those involved in the electoral process are upright, first and foremost, it is the registration that matters. The electoral fraud starts from the registration process. That is when fictitious names are fed in.
Okay.
Yes, from those fictitious names, you can get fictitious PVCs. And from my own personal observation during elections, most of these PVCs cannot be used during elections unless they are used outside the voting environment.
But they still use them.
They still use them.
And they still count
them. You can imagine what transpired in Kano, the recent local government election, where that's another dimension, where underaged were used to vote to get for because the governor had promised to deliver 5 million votes to the state. But coming to by virtue of the outcry, and to the dismay of the polity, the INEC chairman said that he is yet to see a documentary proof of what transpired in so many areas.
And you see, that's why I'm asking this question now. Are you sure? In your opinion, do you believe that the PVC will work? Because if you look at the game that is playing on now, for me, I'm foreseeing a situation where, more stringent measures will be taken, in the bid for these two political parties to suppress other parties. Maybe I'm talking about the PDP and the APC.
Yes.
More strategies will be used. So would the PVC now have a voice that time?
Yes, PVC would have a voice. It will have a voice because for you to have a voice after the elections, you must have voted with your PVC. And I'm having the video because of what is happening, because everybody's on the watch out on what that person is doing, on what the other political party is doing. Therefore, it is very natural that I feel that PVCs will count in the next, and that is the PVC counting in election. That has been our education. That has been our sensitization. For the fact that, like as I said earlier on, for the fact that we are still in the learning process, because everybody will be on the guard against what that person is doing. How many in the public? How many people really queued up to vote? Those things will be counted, and those things will be a voting and result will be monitored to delivery, because there has been a lot of games that have been played out in the past before returning officers declaring stupid results as against what transpired at the field. Even in election observation, you find that instead of you voting with prescribed finger, you see a lot of people voting with all with finger. Those are electoral fraud. So, for the fact that we are evolving and most people are looking at the next election as a bid to make sure that we have a change, we have to change the change. Voting PVC would count. Will
Okay.
count. And we pray that PVC would count.
Okay, let's agree now that PVC will work.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's look at the America scenario. During the last election between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, yeah, this sort of strategy was used in America, where the Democrats came with some, came up with some backside of Trump, and the Republican, a lot of people came up and said, okay, Trump molested them sexually, this, that. They blackmailed themselves.
Yes.
Yet America still, went ahead and voted for Trump. Do you see that scenario playing in Nigeria, despite the fact that the APC and the PDP are blaming themselves? Do you see that scenario playing out in Nigeria, that despite the fact that we are blaming President Muhammadu Buhari, and the APC for not performing so well, Nigerians will still turn out to vote for him? Or despite the fact that the APC is telling PDP that the PDP looted the treasury, the Nigerians will still go back and vote for PDP? Do you see that scenario playing in Nigeria?
Well, when you look at, we cannot predict the human mind, what human will do. But when we refer to what happened in America between Trump and Hillary, Trump had, before he became a candidate, he has studied American election. He did say some years ago that if he wants to run as a president in the US, he will run under the platform of Republicans. Why? He said Republicans don't think. They don't think, and they don't analyze issues like the Democrats. Democrats are a thorough group of people. It's a thorough party. But for Republicans, you tell them that this white is red, they believe in that red. So he has cashed on the non-thinking state of the Republicans, and that's what happened. So, and for the first time in the American history, we have never experienced that type of violence, hate speech during the election. We saw it under Trump. Right from pre-election to victory up till now, he's having a running battle of how Russia meddled with the elections. Currently, you see what is happening. Yeah. So, in our situation, it is now glaring from what happened in some of these northern states by making the underage to vote, which means it was not the real adults that voted for Buhari to win. It was the underage, the children, that voted him to come to power. And moreover, with his propagandists, the media propaganda around him that hyped the polity for me people to believe, because his election was majorly based on religion and ethnicity. So, and for what is playing out even in the North itself, where so many stakeholders, high network individuals within the North, and the youth in particular, are now against the man they have preferred before this time. I think it will be like a June 12th election, that there's going to be a change of what we have not expected.
So the American scenario will not play in Nigeria?
American scenario will not play here. American scenario will not play here this time around. I foresee a situation where people will be very, very objective, like the SDP and the NRC issue that will come out. Because people now will be very, very careful to study the candidates that are coming out for elections. It will get to a point where we are not going to look at the political party. We are now going to look at the candidate. Individual.
But that's what we did in 2014, 2015 now. We didn't look at APC. Nigerians, I'm speaking the mind of Nigerians, they didn't look at APC as a party. They look at the track record of the man, our president, President Muhammadu Buhari now. They look at his track record, that he was a man that fought corruption during his time. And there was real orderliness in Nigeria, during his reign. From that 1983 to 1985, there was real orderliness in Nigeria. And they expected him to perform the same magic now. But to Nigerian dismay, he couldn't do that. So
Yes.
don't you think that they may want to give him second chance? Okay, remember, let's try him. Whether he can still do that.
A lot of things will not be on that like that again, because he promised to fight the security. He had a good track record, but his track record was a function of his deputy. People have come to realize that his effectiveness as at that time was a byproduct of the deputy, late Idiagbo did that. Late Idiagbo was the engine room of his military administration. By the time you take away Idiagbo, nothing happened there again. So if Idiagbo has to be around, then you could have been giving him some of this. But here he is, where he's telling us that he's not aware of this, he's not aware of that, he's not aware.
Maybe because he was sick.
Well, sickness, somebody at that age, I don't think it's very, very reasonable for that person to be ruling a country. Because why?
Obasanjo was his age when Obasanjo was the president.
No. Like two of us of the same age, our body constitution differs.
Okay.
Even if I could be your senior by so much, I could be very articulate in my head. President Buhari is not aware of what is happening in Nigeria. He told us that he gave an order to the Inspector General of Police to go and position himself in Benue. But here is an Inspector General of Police who did not obey his order and went to natural state. What could have happened in an ideal situation? It was to fire that man. So you have so many people around the president that is prescribing a lot of things for him to read and tell him stories. Remember the late Abacha era, where Abacha was cajoled, he could not come out, he was just being fed with information and was just managing the economy based on those fictitious information. That is what is happening now. So for those people that are scared of losing power, and for even their people, they have known that he has been trapped by a group of people who are telling Nigerians lies. I think, and for the voicing of Mr. President Buhari's statements, that he's not aware of that. Campbell that came up recently, he said he was told that it's Martin Luther's daughter. So many instances where he has not claimed to be doing it himself. So you find that Nigerians are not fooled. We cannot be having a president who is not aware of things that are happening around him. If president was to be active, he could have visited all other states that are ruled by PDP after the election.
But he's coming to Rivers State now.
But coming to Rivers State, that's purely to campaign. That's purely to campaign for APC. He's not coming visiting the state because of the PDP state. He's going to Rivers State to campaign for his political party. And what did you observe? Any state he goes to, he visits, the byproduct is spiral or heated with other killings and other atrocities happening in the state. He went to Zamfara. What did you see there? Killings. There were quite a lot of killings in Benue. Instead of going to commiserate with the people there, he did not. He did not go to the graveside of the people of the mass burial. He just went there. And what happened? He said, he told the governor he should accommodate, learn how to live with each other. Is that the language he has to tell somebody that can be bereaved? Must Benue and other states be killing people, be burying people every day? This is not. UN is getting worried about what is happening in Nigeria now. And I think with time, UN will come on board. We are not fighting a war with another country. This Boko Haram and herdsmen killing are byproducts of bad politics in the polity. And instead of addressing those people that have committed the crime, we let them to be roaming the streets.
Now, let's go away from the president now.
Yes.
Let's look at the political elites themselves. Now, the two major parties are PDP and APC. Do you see, somebody that is sincere from any of this party? Because if I want to I'm tempted to believe what the former president said, that's President Olusegun Obasanjo, that said that the PDP and the APC will not save Nigeria. Do you tag along, with this statement?
Yeah, when you go, going by the trend of politics in the country, like I said before, and what is happening now, they are the main political parties that are heating up the polity. I see a situation where there's going to be a shift from these two political parties to unknown political parties to carry the day. And Nigerians will see a candidate they have never expected to emerge, a younger person that will emerge as the next president. Because IBB has been singing the song that they are analog. It is time for them to leave the stage for the younger.
What if a youth? What if either of these parties now present a youth?
Yes, and that is where the two political parties, they have a serious work. Currently, they are shopping for candidates. The two political parties are shopping for candidates. Like what you said, the elites have overstayed their welcome in politics in this country. From First Republic, some are still there. Are they the only ones? Are they not having other people? Must I present my younger brother, or must I present my sister, or must I present my wife's relation as the candidate? Are there no others in the state? Are there no others in the country to come on board? Look at France. The president he came on board as 39. We are getting others younger than that. Why should Nigeria go vote for an elderly person we don't know who will die first, but somebody who is already going senile?
Now, if you look at that man from France, now the French president now, he did not just come out just like that.
Yes.
Just from the blue. He was in a party, and he has been so active, in that party. Yes. And it is not just, presidency was not his first target. He has been in other political offices, in the country. So which Nigerian youth now, that has been maybe at age 30, at age 29, maybe he was a governor, at age 26 to 35, he's in the House of Representatives. Which of Nigeria can you pinpoint hand to now that has gone through this tutelage, you understand, and that is ready to take over from this political elite that are older? Because if you want to look at Dino Melaye is still, the case of Dino Melaye is still below 50.
Yes.
And but look at the way, they handle things, and they've been branded, given names. So which youth you think will not tow this same way that these elites are towing?
It's very unfortunate, your last statement, it's very unfortunate for Nigerians to be decapitating people see as good before them. I'm talking of Dino Melaye. When you look at what is playing out,
because the governor of Kogi State is a youth.
Yeah, he's a youth.
The youth are
but
fighting themselves.
He's a youth that has disappointed the youths.
No, the two youths are fighting themselves.
Yes. So they are fighting based on issues. Most of these issues we don't know. One, we are told that he has not paid salaries. And the other things we don't know that is happening in Kogi State. Then, youths in governance. Like I always say, our youths must be ready to pass through so many tables to have that experience before heading for a position of leadership. They must be prepared to study, undergo apprenticeship. You don't just come from university and assume a leadership somewhere. I know of somebody who left the school, he went as a counselor. After a counselor, he became a local government chairman. After that one, he became a party chairman. After that one, he became a minister. You can see the stages of the progressively.
Now you know somebody, right?
I will not mention the person.
But you say you know somebody.
I know somebody.
Now, what is wrong in some of these political elites?
Yes.
Recommending somebody, because that will amount to, for me, that will amount to godfatherism.
Yeah.
So what is wrong in godfatherism then? Because if we are saying that the politicians we have now, we are recycling them and they are old, and the youth should now take over, who is going to recommend this youth? Is it not the same, the elders?
Yes.
For their gain?
Yes. It is it is going to be the same elders, but that recommendation must be transparent and must have a democratic value before all those. The problem we have in society now is that the political parties don't have internal democracy. And that was one of the reasons why problems of PDP. So it is left for PDP now to resolve whatever differences they have, shop for a good candidate.
Is it only PDP?
It's not all the political parties.
Okay.
Even outside these two political parties, there is tendency that they will have good candidates from other political parties that have not read their heads. So the electorate, Nigerians will look at them, screen them. Between this and this, like what is happening by Festus, among these lots, whom are we? It's going to be a public screening. Whom are we going to pick as our president, as our governor, as our rep, as our councillor? So those are the things that we want Nigerians to do this time. And that one will now affect, this is the issue, these are the issues that will affect the next election. By screening candidates being put to us in the public place. So it is not left for us, oh boy, among all these lots, whom do you think is the best? Whom do you think can do the work for us?
Who will you ask that question?
No, we are going to ask ourselves. The electorate will ask. We are going to ask ourselves.
That's based on their track record.
Yeah, based on our track record. And it's just like when you watch a political debate of candidates. I remember 2010 when we had an election observation in Anambra State. Among the candidates that came for the debate, you can easily pick out those that came to spoil the chances of other people. You can easily pick out the serious candidate. You can easily pick out the other ones that have come to entertain the crowd. So, from what they say, from their programs, and you ask questions, how do you intend to go about it on education, on health, on all the areas of as needed in the society? How do you want to go about
don't you think they will prefer solution? Because in 2008, Jimmy Agbaje contested against Fashola, right? And when they had a debate, I think channels organized a debate, and Jimmy Agbaje spoke so well, especially in the area of economy. Right? He gave out, his roadmap and how he's going to move Lagos economy forward. So excellent than that of Fashola. You understand? Yet Fashola still won him because he was anointed by an elder. Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Know where it's coming from.
Don't you think that will still play out in this 2019 election? Because if we are saying that we are clamoring for a youth, don't you think that youth will be anointed by an elder that will still come and, continue with the old way of doing things?
Yes, it will still play out. It will still play out. Despite the fact that, like what the example you gave about Fashola and Agbaje, you know where Fashola has been a chief of staff to the governor, and he really wants his own person to succeed him. Yes, from what we have seen so far in Nigeria and in most of the states, I think that chance will stop this time. It will be reduced. Even if
How?
It will be reduced because the electorate will definitely know that this guy is being sponsored by this governor. This person is being sponsored by this person. And in order to reduce those things that are happening before, to put a stop to that, that candidate might lose the opportunity to go for another one.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are now
Once a candidate is being identified as being sponsored by a governor
or by an elder,
a party, he will lose the chances of getting. Sure I'm sure of that. Because sure we are in the society. Okay. We are discussing. So those things will not continue. It can't continue again because we really want a good country. People want a good state. People want a good local government. So why should the anointing continue to succeed in every year as regards on our election on the wrong candidates?
The take-away point is the electorate should be looking out for the man that has these 3 E's.
Yes.
Education,
exposure,
and experience. Not just somebody who does not know anything. And when they ask him, he say, okay, let's ask the engineer. Whereas you are the head of that place, you are supposed to give the first information that this is how this thing is supposed to go. But rather, the engineer will come from behind and come and talk on your head. Or instead of, it's funny. It's funny. Let's leave it at that.
Another day.
This is for another day. Thank you very much, Mr.
It's a pleasure.
for
nice to
coming
be here.
on this program.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your comments, and I know the electorate this time around, they will be ready to do the needful in the 2019 election. And we are becoming more wiser. We are becoming wiser. We are becoming more exposed. And I think the next election, we bring about good results. It will not be business as usual, and we'll know that our next president, even if the incumbent president is coming back, he will learn from his mistake, or maybe somebody else is taking over from him. We'll be able to know what are the heartbeat of Nigerians, and this is where we'll draw the curtain on this edition of the morning show. Thank you for staying with us, all this while, and tomorrow is promised to be the best again, because we'll be coming with a very interesting topic. Stay tuned with us and don't go away. I still remain Festus, Ebikobu with Mr. Rawon. God bless you.